विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Verse 146. न जानामि किमप्येतत् इत्यन्ते शरणं तव अत एव महान्तोऽस्य प्रवदन्तीन्द्रजालताम्. So as a part of this Mahavakya Vichara, Vidyaranya has come to this Tatpada Vichara after the completion of it, Tvampada Vichara, and we have seen the Jiva Swarupam, what the philosophers talk about, the Jiva, the Swarupa of a Jiva, about what is the status of a Jiva, what is the nature of a Jiva, what is the dimension of a Jiva, etc. Right? We saw all these things, whereas philosophers have varieties of the views. And one definitely says something, the other contradicts it or negates, and then that one will be negated by someone else, and that's how ultimately we answered also. Anyway, so right now Tatpada Vichara is going on, and it has started from verse 104 and it will go up to 209. It's a very big section, and we already saw that Ishvara consists of basically three factors. Ishvara is a composite entity consisting of three factors. And one is the consciousness, second is its reflection, and third thing, the medium, that is Maya. And so Maya Pratibimbita Chaitanyam is the definition of Ishvara from us. Other philosophers and minor philosophers and other major philosophers also have defined Ishvara in their own way. But this is our definition, and it is not our definition. It's a definition in the Veda. And that reference also we saw, that is from our Shvetashvatar Upanishad. Anyway, so Maya Pratibimbita Chidabhasa, Maya Pratibimbita Chaitanyam, either you can say Maya Pratibimbita Chaitanyam, that's a Chidabhasa only. Well, that is Ishvara. And if you remember, we used to use other words, that Adhar Chaitanyam and Abhasa Chaitanyam. Initially, this chapter, I think now we are on 146. We started long before actually, and so initially we used those words, Adhara Chaitanyam and Abhasa Chaitanyam, etc. So if you want that way definition, we can definitely say consciousness means that is Adhara Chaitanyam, Pratibimbita Chaitanyam, that is Abhasa Chaitanyam, and Maya, of course. That way also it's a composite entity only. Ishvara is a composite entity. So all this put together is basically Ishvara. And of these three, two are basically we said Vyavarika Satyam. Vyavarika Satyam, or you can say this now Sadasat Vilakshana. It is basically Sadasat Vilakshana. And so all their appearances. Maya also is an appearance on Brahman. Maya is an appearance on Brahman, not appearances. Maya is an appearance on Brahman. And therefore anything, the transformation at the level of Maya is all are basically appearances. But anyway, if Maya itself has appearance, then reflected consciousness or Chidabhasa is also appearance. So out of the three, Ishvara is a composite entity, but out of the three, the two are basically just Sadasat Vilakshanam or let's say Vyavarika Satyam, etc., Anirvachaniyam, etc. And consciousness or Adhar Chaitanyam is Satyam. And what we are going to do in Mahavakya Vichar, which is going to come later, of course, and is that it is, we are going to negate these two things, which are Vyavarika Satyam. And these two things are negated means they get resolved. Any mithya thing negated means it is not destroyed. There is no destruction. That's how Vedanta enjoys, Vedanti enjoys everything. Because there is no destruction. Things resolve. Mithya thing resolves into Satyam. Like a snake, our Rajju Sarpa, snake on the rope is destroyed when you put a torch on it. So where it resolves? It resolves into this Rajju itself. So any mithya thing, we negate, we say it is mithya, etc. So that shows it resolves into the very Satyam, which is the Adhishthanam of that. Any mithya is non-separate from Satyam. Anyway, so basically, these two things will resolve into consciousness. With which two things? This Maya and Maya Pratibimba. Well, basically, that is Chidabhasa, both resolve into the consciousness. When we equate, okay? When we equate. While doing equation, this will resolve into consciousness. And on the other side, Jiva also, same. Jiva also, the two, Jiva is a composite entity. Again, three factors. Two are basically mithya. One is Satyam, that is Adhar Chaitanyam, consciousness. And those two things also, Ajnana Pratibimbita Chaitanyam, okay? Ajnana Pratibimbita Chaitanyam, Karana Sharira Pratibimbita Chaitanyam, Sukshma Sharira Pratibimbita, either way, whatever you want to say. Well, ultimately, Karana Sharira and the Karana Sharira Pratibimba, both are basically non-separate from the consciousness, mithya, etc. And so that is also, that will resolve while doing an equation. And that is, we understood it as a Bhagatyaga Lakshana. Anyway, so we have done Bhagasya Tyaga. So basically we have negated a portion of the composite entity from both the sides. And then you are able to equate easily. Both are basically consciousness alone. And we are able to resolve, that's how Jiva is basically Brahman. Because the difference which we make between the two is a mithya, well, basically, right? What on one side, this is a Ajnana, is a Upadhi, or a medium. And here this is a Maya, is a medium. And here Ajnana Pratibhimbita Chaitanya, here Maya Pratibhimbita Chaitanya. But both are basically Sadasat, and therefore Sadasat Vilakshana. Both are just seemingly existent thing. And therefore basically essentially Jiva and Ishvara are one alone. And that is why we say the difference between Jiva and Ishvara is due to ignorance. Otherwise there is no difference at all. Essentially they are one alone. So when you bring there is a difference between Jiva and Ishvara, then you have to bring these Vyavarika factors. You have to bring in. To make a difference between the two, you will have to bring two upadhis, which is a Vyavarika or which is Mithya, etc. Anyway, so by applying this Bhagatyaga Lakshana in Mahavakya study, we have to negate both Maya and Abhasa Chaitanya. I am talking about Ishvara right now because we are discussing Tatpada. Therefore, and we should retain Adhar Chaitanyam also. And so when Ishvara is a composite entity with all these three factors, Ishvara will have superior virtues. And no Jiva can go anywhere near to the Ishvara. Because Ishvara is a composite entity, well definitely is a Saguna Ishvara with all the virtues in a total measure. And so which we call Bhaga. So that's how word all these bhagas, all this is all virtues basically. And I have told you all the virtues basically. So Jiva can never be equal to Ishvara even in a dream. So where is the question of basically Aikyam ever happening at the level of that Vyavara. So during Mahavakya study only, we have to keep aside the Maya and Pratibimbita Chaitanyam also, and Ishvara must remain only as a third factor, Adhara Chaitanya. That's called Lakshartha. Anyway, so basically if Maya is not there, well, Ishvara will have no portfolios. So basically, in India, before so many years, there was a minister without portfolio. I can give you the name, but anyway, it's not fair. So he was stripped of all portfolios. He continued as a minister, but the prime minister took away all portfolios. It's a disgrace, Anyway, so same way, well, Ishvara is a Ishvara with all this. Aishwarasya samagrasya dharmasya yashasha shriyah and gnana vairagyayoshiva shannam bhaga iti irana. So he is a Bhagavan and with samagrasya Aishwarya, total measure of, he is called a creator and sustainer, and he's a Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva. He's a resolver of everything. And and he is Antaryami. Oh, he knows each and everything. Being present in Antasan Yamayati. He is present in everything in the creation. And he controls everything. Antaryami means Ishvara. The meaning of Antaryami is what? Ishvara. Isha also means to control, to rule. And Antaryami, there also the word root yam is there, yam. From that word sanyam, niyam, etc. all has come. Anyway, so Antasan Yamayati. He controls, rules, being present in every element. Well, that is how word Shiva has come. Word Shiva, so what you should do, there is a basically, it's in Panini, I think. Panini has made a certain set of words where you have to simply exchange the letters. The letter in the front has to be taken at the back, and the letter in the back has to be taken in the front. So Shiva is basically what? Just reverse. Is Shiva. Who is Shiva? We will talk about on that day, Shivaratri day. Yeah. Who is Shiva? Well, just reverse it. Oh, it is Vashi. Yeah. Shiva is Vashi. Vashi means what? Sarvam Vasham Vartate Yasya Saha Vashi. Everything is under his control. So that is how it is. Definitely. How does he control? Has he so many reigns? No. Just being a material cause of the entire world, he controls everything. What controls universe is this material. Yeah. So just being a material cause of the entire creation, Ishvara is a Vashi. Sarvam Vasham Vartate Yasya Saha Vashi. Like that, there are other words. Simha has come from Himsa. One would say that. And this Kashyapa has come from Pashyaka. And that is how it is. Pashyaka. Pashyati iti Pashyaka. Anyway, Kashyapa also was a seer, Rishi. Anyway, this is how, there is a set of words. It is not jugglery. Don't think Swamiji is really making a fun. It is a Prushodharadi Gana, etc. is there, I think. And so, here, this is, Ishvara is like this, with a Maya. Well, definitely he is control of everything. And, that is due to Maya only. If you remove this Maya, because that's a Vachyartha. That's a direct meaning, etc. And it has a component. Ishvara is it's a composite entity with the two factors which are really seemingly existent. Maya and the Maya Pratibimba. Both. Adhara Chaitanyam or the consciousness is the only reality. If you keep like that, well then just consciousness or Brahman has nothing, no portfolio. He is no more a Antaryami, no more a Sarvajna, no more a, Sarvashaktiman. Yeah. He is no more a creator, nothing. No karma phala data, no karma adhyaksha, nothing. He is not even a ruler. And so it's just a wonder, All the creation runs with all the laws. And they are all intelligent laws. And somebody is definitely through these laws, basically he controls the entire universe. And but who has manifested in this intelligent laws? Conscious being has manifested in these intelligent laws called all these, all our niyamas are there, including niyama or karmas niyama, etc. or dharmas, law, etc. All moral order, all we call orders. Basically, it's Ishvara's manifestation. That's how Pujya Swamiji called as a physical order and psychological order and intellectual order, whatever. Biological order, several orders. It's all manifestation. That's how he's called Karma Adhyaksha. Karma Adhyaksha and Karma Phaladata also, well, definitely. All this is due to Maya. So, well, definitely, if you remove that Maya, then this Ishvara is stripped of all the powers and he just becomes a Brahman with no power at all. Nothing. Nothing. He cannot even, break even a papad. Papad. I don't know what is called. Appalam. He doesn't. He doesn't know how to break that. Anyway, so basically, therefore, there is no question of superiority of Ishvara in absence of Maya, etc. And this superiority is caused by or by the superior, values or virtues. And when virtues are there, that is due to, of course, Maya. And so he is no more a superior. Ishvara is considered most superior, right? But that's due to Maya. Anyway, this is by the way. Anyway, we are not going to deal right now. Let the Ishvara enjoy his power. So we'll do that job of removing. From Tvampada also we'll call that Jiva with inferior powers, and we'll call Ishvara also with superior powers, and we will strip them off both from their powers, and basically then they are nothing but just Adhar Chaitanyam consciousness. That is the equation. So Bhagatyaga Lakshana. So we can just keep aside this topic right now. Anyway, so Vidyaranya is preparing basically a ground for introducing these three factors, so that later he can talk about this Bhagatyaga Lakshana, in which two are removed and one will be retained, which is Satyam is retained. The other two are seemingly existent. One is really existent, and therefore what is really existent is existence. That's a reality anyway. That has to be kept. Anyway, so introduction of the three factors is ultimately preparation for Bhagatyaga Lakshana later. Anyway, and if these three factors, in these three factors, the most important, significant, mysterious, and mischievous also, well, that factor is this Maya Devi. Is most, and so it is. This Vidyaranya started with this discussion of Maya because he wants to basically make us understand this Maya. Out of the three factors in the Ishvara is a composite entity, and one of the factor is this Maya, medium. So he introduced the word Maya from verse number 125, and that topic is continuing in all the verses right now. And in this, Vidyaranya pointed out that this Maya is not a factor introduced to logically answer the questions regarding the creation. Maya is a word introduced to show the illogical nature of the very creation. So, very nature of the creation is beyond the field of logic, and therefore any logical questions regarding the universe is illogical. All questions are look very logical, right? Very logical. What is the cause of creation? Oh, very logical question. In which manner the creation came? What are the steps involved in the manifestation of the entire creation? It is such a sophisticated thing, and therefore it must have come in a very sophisticated way. What are the steps involved? We feel the person, the questioner, is a very, very, very intelligent person, And then what is the purpose of the creation? Oh, where is this? Where is the location of this creation? Oh, we feel it is really. We have never thought of this kind of things. Where is it located? Where is it located? It is in Akasha. But Akasha is a part of creation. Then, so where it is located? Oh, all logical questions. And these logical questions, along with that questioner, intelligent questioner, we question by saying Maya. So, to indicate that all your questions and you basically are illogical. That's what it is. Maya means where you cannot find the logical answers of all your questions because the very creation is illogical. I'm not saying today. I'm not saying the creation is Sadasat Vilakshana. I'm saying something else. Very creation is illogical. Logic, what is this? Don't use the words. Explain that. Yeah. Anything which is logical has a category. If you cannot categorize a given thing, it's illogical. Whole science tries and tries. Science is very logical because they categorize, define. That's what it is. If you are not able to define, we can consider that thing as illogical. If you are not able to categorize a given thing, it is illogical. So when we say science is logical, because science defines. Therefore, basically our word Maya wants to indicate to the questioner who brings this so-called logical questions. Well, basically it is to show that your questions are illogical regarding creation. Maybe other thing. Within creation, you can have a logical, some questions. And that you solve. That's not our criteria. That's not our criteria. You do it. It's an atom or this particle and that particle and whatever. You do. No problem. But basically, if you are saying that cause of creation, purpose of creation, location of creation, and the steps involved in the creation, and all these things, process of creation, etc., well, we are saying it is illogical because the very creation itself is illogical. Regarding existence, creation existence could not define, could not be arrived at. Then creation is non-existent, could not be arrived at. No, then existent, non-existent could not be arrived at. That is not possible. Then what is this creation? That's what we say, Maya. That's what we say, Maya. And therefore, forget about your questions, cause of creation. First, we are asking the question to the questioner. In fact, we are asking questioner to the question. We are putting a question to the questioner itself. That's better. We are putting a question to the questioner itself that your understanding of the creation is not correct. And so the very nature of the world basically is beyond logic. Then how can you raise a logical questions about origin of creation and purpose of creation and all that? Well, that doesn't serve a purpose. All creation the centered questions will be illogical because creation itself happens to be seemingly existent, sadasad vilakshanam, that we have indicated by the word Maya. And so even the very existence of the creation is not pinpointable. And because you cannot say world is existent, you cannot say world is non-existent, you cannot combine existence, non-existence. And therefore, well, basically, if somebody asks this kind of a question, well, we questions, a series of questions regarding creation, we say, well, it is Maya. That is just to indicate a illogical nature of the creation, illogical nature of the questions, and basically raised by the questioner. And so if somebody asks whether such a Maya is possible, or is it only an excuse of a shelter, like earthquake shelter. So basically, such a kind of thing is there or not? The creation is basically, logically, we cannot put in a certain category, then you should not ask certain further questions. And if somebody then asks, well, whether such a Maya is possible, well, or it isn't just an excuse or a shelter, like, a earthquake shelter. Earthquake shelter, very well. So, it happened in Ahmedabad. Well, definitely when in 2001, I think. So some people, the earthquake happened, so some people who were outside on the road, on the open space, they ran into the building and went under the roof. In earthquake, you should not be under the roof. But then and tragedy happened. Many people ran out of the buildings. But some person was outside, ran in the building to find a shelter in earthquake. So I think your answer Maya is also like that, basically. It's a shelter, but it's an earthquake shelter. So whenever Purvapakshi attacks us with a series of questions, well, this Vedanti hides behind this shelter of Maya. And so it's an exclusive shelter. Is there a possibility of such a Maya? You talk very vehemently, with a lot of emphasis and all. But is there a possibility of such a Maya? If somebody asks, well, if such a question, Vidyaranya says, well, very much possible. In fact, we have got cases to show as an example, and the example we saw, of course. And the example, Vidyaranya's example is a magic show. Indrajalatam, which is the word here in this verse. Indrajalatam, every magic show basically presented by a magician is such a case. And what is the definition of the magic? Well, definitely magic is something which is experienceable, which is available for experience, but cannot be explained. You experience a thing, but you cannot explain. That's called magic. And so lady is clearly cut into two pieces. And you see two portions separated also by several feet away. and and then the magicians, walks also, walks up and down, and thereafter, he is a Jarasanga. He unites, and she gets up. Her wife only. He cuts into two pieces, and then he joins the two portions, and she gets up and does hi, etc. And that's like that. She started doing. How it is possible? We have experience, not me. Entire audience, 1,000 people have experience. So you cannot say it is just it's a projection. Swami, it's a projection. There is nothing like that. Don't say 1,000 people saw. Projection means you experience, but others don't experience. Definitely, snake is a projection because you see the snake. Others see rope there, and therefore, basically, so it's a projection. But this is an experience of every person in every show, and days together. This is magic, available for experience. And then, okay, it is experience, then let's explain. You cannot explain. Even basically, the cosmetic surgery, even this is, suppose it has come out, and then or something, and then they try to join that and all that. And it takes hours and hours of surgery and cosmetic surgery. And that too, sometimes they fail. Then how come this lady was totally cut into two pieces, and that cosmetic surgeon, her husband, joined within minute? Oh, cannot be explained. If you can't explain, it means it is not there. No, it is there. It is very much there. Everyone experiences it from the audience. Okay, then let us explain. Oh, how will you explain? Because it's not possible. It's a very, very, very major cosmetic surgery, cutting into two pieces. Major cosmetic surgery. Well, it's not, right? So this is called magic, which is available for experience, but not available for our explanation, is magic. Very beautiful. And therefore, definitely, this is how this Maya also does the same thing. Maya is a greater magician. In fact, Ishvara is a magician, but let's say Maya is a magician. He cuts Brahman into three pieces. Yeah, Jeev, Jagat and Ishvara. And then you try to explain them. Well, then you are not able to explain. You are not able to explain. Basically, one thing is sure, that actually this lady was cut in experience, but she really did not, he did not cut his, who will cut his wife? He did not cut his wife. But it appears for all the people that she was cut into two pieces. Same way, this Brahman was cut into three pieces by this Maya. But they are not really cut into three pieces. Why? They must have been really cut into three pieces. Jeev, Jagat and Ishvara. No. Why? Because all the description regarding Brahman and the Maya is in Shastra. And Shastra says, well, everything is Brahman. I am seeing everything Brahman. I am not seeing three things. Oh, so when they are really not cut, they appear cut. That is what it is. Okay? So don't ask a question. Is there a Maya? Is such a thing is there? Yeah, it is there. It's very much there. Available for experience. Jiva available for experience. Jagat available for experience. Ishvara available for experience. Ishvara is not available for experience. Ishvara is available for experience. In other religions, Ishvara is not available for experience. For us, it is available for experience. Because, but I am seeing Jagat. Yeah, I am saying it is Ishvara. Oh. So Ishvara is available for experience. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkinchit jagatyam jagat. Yatkinchit jagatyam jagat ishena achaditam. So may you well cover this jagat with Ishvara. Ishvara drishtya. It has been told there, Ishvara drishtya. With the vision of Ishvara, better you cover this. Because Ishvara is abhinna nimitto. Padana karan is the material for the creation. And so whatever you see in the creation is Ishvara alone. Anyway, so Ishvara is a pratyaksha, Jiva is basically pratyaksha, and Jagat also is a pratyaksha. Well, definitely, and therefore it is available for experience. But in reality, they are not cut by Brahman. And this is why we call Maya as a magic. Magic means we have defined available for experience, and you experience also, but not available for explanation. And same way, Maya also is available for experience in form of creation or in form of three pieces. Well, ultimately, but really cannot be explained. Jeev, Jagat and Ishvara, all the three are anirvachaniya. Jiva also is a Sadasat Vilakshanam, Jagat is also Sadasat Vilakshanam, and Ishvara also is Sadasat Vilakshanam. Basically, one Brahman cut into three pieces, but it is like a cutting of that woman into two pieces. And therefore, so you see this all plurality, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, etc. But really the truth is, from the Shastra only we know that Brahman has not been cut at all. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma ekameva advitiyam. Ekameva advitiyam. Brahman is one without second. There is no second thing at all. So where is question of three? Where is a question of three? Jiv, Jagat and Ishvara. Shastra says in my vision there is only Brahman now. So that is how it is anyway. So in Maya Panchakam also it says in a little differently. You know that Maya Panchakam in which the fourth line in it's regarding Maya only with 5 verses. And I think Shankaracharya ji, so far as I know, Shankaracharya ji has composed that particular thing. And in that fourth line of every that verse basically says Agatita Gatana Patiyasi Maya. This Maya is something which makes happen thing which is impossible. And in that, in one of the verses it says Vidhi Harihara Videyam Api Akhandam. So this Maya has created Vidhi. Vidhi means Brahma, and Hari means Vishnu, and Hara means Shiva. So basically all these divisions like Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, etc. Well, or Jiva Jagat Ishvara, as we said, or Srishti Sthiti Laya, etc. all are created by the Maya. Basically, there is nothing of that sort, and therefore Maya is very much there, because of which you experience all the three, and therefore you narrate also Srishti Sthiti Laya, you narrate Jiva Jagat Ishvara, etc. Therefore available for experience, but really speaking from the Shastra's standpoint, there is nothing called Jiva Jagat Ishvara, and therefore, so Maya is also like this, like a magic, etc. So all our pramanam like pratyaksha, anumana, etc. reveals this, that there are three. But you cannot logically explain the division of Brahman, because Brahman is indivisible whole, revealed by the Shastra. And therefore, conclusion is basically Maya remains our experience which cannot be logically explained. And so, for this magic, we use the word Maya. And so same way here also we use word Maya. And therefore don't get surprised. Maya, don't say like that. Because we know word Maya. For the magic show, well, we say it's a Maya of a magician. Same way this is also Maya or magic of a greater magician. Ataheva asya indrajalatam mahantaha pravadanti. Therefore, ataheva means therefore only, asya indrajalatam or asya, Ishwarasya, well, or Maya Tattvasya basically. Indrajalatam, well, mahantaha pravadanti. Mahanta means great people, great acharyas, pravadanti, well, says the world itself is a cosmic magic done by Ishvara or Maya, either way you say. Because, no, but tell clearly, Maya does this or Ishvara does? Ishvara does this. And again I am asking you, whether it is done by Maya or it's done by Ishvara. No, Maya has done that. The same thing. Because Maya is basically in the hand of Ishvara, and therefore the Mayavi, the magician, who has this power. And so like the magic power is with the magician only, and therefore, and you cannot separate, please understand. Because you will say, Swamiji, you will have to answer only one, don't answer two. Well, I will not answer two, because basically any power is non-separate from that conscious being. And therefore, that magical power, whatever it has, it is associated with the magician. It is not independent of something. Therefore, if it is independent, I will have to tell either of that. But if it is non-separate from that conscious being, how I am going to separate it? Like, can you right now separate my speaking power from me? You can't. You say, that's how you say Swami is a speaker right now. Means one who possesses the speaking power. Same way Mayavi we have seen also. Basically Mayam tu Prakritim Vidyat, Mainam tu Maheshwar. Ishvara is a Mayavi, we said, and therefore he possesses this power. This kind of a power he has. It's a magical power, and that has been this has been manifested in the form of this Jeev Jagat and Ishvara, and that kind of a this cosmic magic is done by the Ishvara or Maya, whatever. And so never attempt basically to logically explain the creation. And if you try, well, if you want to try it. What will be the consequence, You will be encouraged by the initial answers that you are going to find the truth of the creation. And like scientist, definitely, you will be also very happy. But at a particular stage, well, you will have to say, na janami. Iti etam, that's how it says, na janami kimapi. Etad iti ante sharanam tava. Ultimate. Ante sharanam tava means what, But ultimately, you will have to resort. In the end, you will have to say, what? Na janami kimapi etad. Etad kimapi na janami. Well, basically, I don't know this. We are at the crossroads. Another 50 years of research. Na janami. And thereby, well, ultimately, the body, you will have to, that's a legacy. Basically, you will call the senior student and you are sitting on a chair with with a big table and lots of thesis, lots of doctoral thesis on everywhere. And even that person you are not able to see. You will see only those theses. And he is sitting in between. And he will call the most senior person. He is now 85. He will call and tell, well, I am handing over all this research to you. Please continue with this research. Another 50 years. And that person will become 85. This is going on. This is going on since 200 years. In every field of science. And research after research after research after research. We are at the crossroads. We will be able to find solution immediately. And then they will find solution. And then they will find another crossroad. And then they will find the solution. This is how science progresses. So if you are, well, basically, if you want to explain this creation logically, means scientifically, logically means scientifically, then definitely try. But the consequence will be there. You will go without remaining ignorant regarding the truth of the creation. You remain ignorant, and much less you know yourself. And therefore, basically you will go like that. So, kimapi etad na janami, you will ultimately have to say that. And therefore, you will eternally have a layer of na janami all the time at the bottom. And so, that is how the modern cosmology, basically, they say this Big Bang, is the beginning of this creation. But they say don't ask questions regarding the time of the Big Bang. Because time of the Big Bang is the most crucial thing, the cause of the Big Bang. And they say 1/1,000,000th of the second or something. After, well, you will come to know. But at the point of that that Big Bang, well, of course, cause of Big Bang, that also they are not able to say. But let's say what was the time at the time? At this Big Bang. Well, they say we don't know. Don't ask this kind of questions. And they call that's a point of no information. And sometimes they call it as a point of a singularity. And singularity means what? Don't ask questions. Yeah. So then when we say Maya, we get a thappad. And they say that's a point of singularity. They get awards. What is this? They get awards. And they get Nobel Prize. They get, PhD awards and everything. And nobody give a Nobel Prize to Puja Swamiji. He was talking so many years this. Because you use word Maya. Yeah, but then you are saying point of singularity means you don't ask questions. This is a thing we don't know. From where that cosmic soup came, that Big Bang happened in from where did that matter came? Don't ask such questions. And what is the cause of that Big Bang? And what was the time at that time? Don't ask. It's a point of singularity. Then when we say Maya, it's your point of singularity only. So this is how the things are, basically. Anyway, so Asya, for this, basically, Indrajalatam, this status, Asya Indrajalatam is this status called Indrajalam, etc., this magic, etc., is there. Anyway, so up to this, actually, we saw But now we'll see further now. For certain things I could not clarify in the class yesterday's class, so I thought of going through again. Now let's go to the next verse. एतस्मात् किमिवेन्द्रजालमपरं यद्गर्भवासस्थितं रेतश्चेतति हस्तमस्तकपद प्रोद्भूतनानाङ्कुरं पर्यायेण शिशुत्वयौवनजरावेशैरनेकैवृतं पश्यत्य अत्ति शृणोति जिग्रति तथा गच्छति यथा गच्छति. This is the way I read, okay? I don't know what is actually the meter involved, and therefore I am not able to chant it properly. So Vidyaranya feels that Maya's glory is so great that it cannot be, presented in a small shloka, and so he changed the meter, and so that everybody will become alert. This is what happens. That is how in every textbook, if you chant in a given meter for a long time, it becomes monotonous, and people start feeling sleepy. And that is how Bhagavan also changed the meter from Anushtup to Trishtup suddenly. So everything is going in Anushtup very well. Suddenly it starts Najayate Mriyate Vakada. So then people will just become alert. Really, honestly, to change the meter is to draw the attention of the person. But anything which is chanted, done continuously in a given style, etc., it becomes monotonous. So that is how it changes. Or else there is another purpose, to bring your attention to bring to your attention basically some important topic. They change the meter. That's also there. Anyway, and that is, of course, in the case of Bhagavad Gita, it's one of the reason also for that, to show the Maya's nature. It is to show the nature of self. Well, that it is free from birth and death and all that, because ultimately that was the issue with the Arjuna. That the death of these people who are there in the front, and so Bhagavan wanted to convey, don't worry, they are all basically Brahman or Atma, and nobody dies, etc., because nobody is born. It's a very important thing, and so he changed the meter. That's how Acharyas explain. Anyway, so here also he has changed the meter now. So and so we will become a little alert, and we will appreciate the glory of Maya. So, as I said before, Maya's glory can be appreciated in any aspect of the creation. Anywhere, anything you study is basically glory of Maya. But Vidyaranyas is focusing on the formation of life, basically, that we have, of course, initiated that discussion yesterday itself, and this formation of life is the greatest mystery, or the greatest glory of Maya. Or else, let's say the greatest glory of Maya can be appreciated when we definitely look into the formation of life. Because that question will remain, whether such a thing Maya is there or not. Then let's take this phenomena of formation of life, and you will appreciate that what a glorious Maya is, that nothing can be explained in the formation of life. So there are, there also in the formation of life is at the two levels. The first level is at the beginning of the life itself. In the creation, in this present creation, for the first time, all the Panchabhutas are created. Then how the Jivas came? That's a mystery. Panchabhutas are created, that's fine. And then this Bhautika Prapancha, etc., this physical universe is created. Well, that we understand very well. But how this suddenly conscious being appeared? And so first arrival of the Jiva in a particular Srishti itself is a great mystery. Great mystery. That is what scientists are trying to solve, that how from these inert chemicals, etc., all this made up of all these elements, ultimately how from these inert chemicals living beings are created. They are not able to answer the question at all. And then Vidyaranya says, this is a first level of that formation of life is basically a mystery. This is a first level. Then second level, a bigger mystery is, even after the living beings, let's say, have come in the creation into existence out of the, they are there. But then from these living beings, a set of parents basically, and from them the creation of a baby, and itself is a great magic, itself is a great wonder. We started that discussion yesterday. And so first Jiva is in a particular Srishti is a great wonder. How the Jivas appeared. Uh, and even when, second thing is, even when many Jivas are there, already there, out of all the Jivas is a set of parents, from the, how the child is conceived and how this process of conception took place and takes place, and the process of growth, etc. All this is a medical wonder. And so, and like that, there are hundreds of questions remain unanswered. So, genetic research basically, is going on and on and on, and they have not found answer for many, hundreds and hundreds of questions. So, no doubt we have progressed a lot, of course, in genetic research, etc. But we have not even scratched even the surface of a thing. And so, for most of the questions, what will be their answer, Well, the things happen, we know. We have found out that this thing is happening, but the reasons are not known. That's how they say. All the scientists are very honest people, and so they will say that we have found out this thing is happening, but the reasons basically behind that, well, is not known. So we say, Vidyaranya says, look at the wonder. When the mother conceives, and we take it very in a easy way. Easy thing. And I think that the child simply will come out and then grows, and it will take the birth and grows, and we celebrate once, when the child is born, we may celebrate also and eat chocolates and forget. But have you ever thought about that, the whole process? How from a dot of this or a seed of that male or a female, how is such a 95 kg of this problem, or I wonder, this body has come out of this? We don't know. It's a really amazing thing. So that's what he conveys in this verse. Etasmat aparam indrajalam kim. You have to arrange, Just see the one part of that whole verse. Etasmat kim iva indrajalam aparam. In that, you have to connect etasmat and aparam. So, etasmat aparam indrajalam kim. What greater magic? Aparam indrajalam. Indrajalam magic. Aparam, another. Or let's say greater. So, basically, what greater magic do you want as an example other than the formation of the baby in the womb of a mother? So, etasmat aparam means, well, basically, other than the birth of a child, starting from the conception and then growth and then formation of baby in the womb of a mother. Pujya Swamiji, at one place I remembered, now I suddenly remembered, when he came to Ahmedabad, he visited one doctor's hospital, and then he gave a little talk, and he said it's a great wonder that initially even both the seed, egg and the sperm, he combine. Then initial will be there is only one kind of cells, maybe stem cells or whatever, one kind of cells. Am I right, Dr. Sir? So only one kind of cells. And then this is called brilliance. He said some inhibition occurred, because if it is one type of cell, well, cell grows and multiplies, etc. But then they all should be uniform. But he said some inhibition occurs, and then different types of cell. So it grows into a kidney, and they have different type of cells, and then the heart, the different type of cells, and brain has a different type of cells. But initially they are of one kind of cells. And that inhibition he explained as a Maya. That's how it is. It's an inhibiting factor. Otherwise there is a Brahman. Inhibiting factor is a Maya, which divides into this Jeev, Jagat and Ishvara. So that inhibition occurs at the conception itself. After the conception. After the conception, this inhibition occurs and it turns into a full-fledged, very sophisticated body. It's just a wonder. It's just a wonder. And so, here it says, etasmat aparam indrajalam kim. Other than the birth, the conception, the growth of the formation of the body, etc., in the womb of a mother, other than that, well, what better magic do you want? Etasmat aparam jalam kim means there is no better wonder, or there is no greater wonder, let's say. There is no greater wonder other than this birth of a child from a dot of a sperm or a egg, etc. And so This is our experience also. That's why, well, we may have a question regarding the Maya, the wonder, etc. Well, magic, etc. But then we have experienced this kind of a thing because we were also in a mother's womb, and we were all there. And so this thing he is giving an example which you can really appreciate in order to understand the glory of Maya. So, and then it says Garbhavasa Sthitam Saha, the dot of this Purusha Bija, and that is Retaha, is a Purusha Bija, and eggs are, or you can say an egg also, or egg is a woman's, Bijam, seed, whatever. So, which is a very minute entity, and which has been transferred from the father into the mother's garbha, etc. Well, and so and so one dot of in a few years become a full-fledged body with a lot of sophisticated things inside, and most complex thing. In fact, most complex thing. The body itself is a very, very complex. Comes out of a chemicals, which are a dot of certain chemicals. How it can occur? Well, and along with that consciousness, etc. How it can occur? Well, it's a wonder. So Retaha means this Purusha Bijam. Here word Retaha is used, that is Purusha Bijam, sperm, etc. Chetati. So Retaha Chetati means this Retaha, this Purusha Bijam is alive, and people ask, when does it become alive? In the third month or a fourth month? That itself is a very big question anyway. So all these questions they ask anyway, but according to Shastra, life is already there. So it's medical science may say that life appears at the third month or a fourth month, etc. Well, but Shastra, and I will explain you. According to Shastra, life is already there, even in the father's body, in the sperm itself, the life is there, and therefore at the moment of conception, well, life is there, but not manifested. Yeah, but not manifested initially, because that dot of that sperm basically is not sufficient for the manifestation of life, not the creation of life. Please understand, the dot of sperm, etc., is not capable, is not sufficient rather for the manifestation of life, and we can take a example here. That table, basically this table where I am sitting right now, the table cannot manifest basically this Chidabhasa. Chit is there, which is Sarvavyapi, which is all pervading. Therefore, consciousness is there, existence is there, and therefore table is there, table is revealed, etc. through consciousness, and therefore consciousness is also there, existence is there, Chit is there, but Chidabhasa is not there in table. And why? Because the table is incapable of manifestation of Chidabhasa. Similarly, in a Purusha Bija also, there is a Chit, of course, definitely, because it exists, it is revealed. So there is a Chit, but Chidabhasa is not able to fully manifest. So only difference between that Purusha Bija and this table, well, is that table cannot manifest Chidabhasa, just not now, later also it cannot manifest. Whereas this Retaha, the Purusha Bija, etc., the sperm, etc., has got a potential to manifest Chidabhasa gradually. And so this potential for, well, basically the potential to serve as a reflecting medium, well, that is the contribution of the parents. Ultimately, through that Retas only that Chidabhasa manifests, and well, so this is the contribution of the parents, which we cannot artificially create. Certain chemicals they do chemical analysis of the sperm, etc. Well, definitely, well, which will basically, if you do that, certain chemicals are there, and so you feel, well, if from this sperm, if a life can come out, let's combine those chemicals, externally, and then life can manifest. But that doesn't happen. That just does not happen. When through parents, when it comes, both the seed and then life manifest, basically. And to be honest, well, definitely, I will talk about Shastra also. That actually, it is not that when they two come, these two seeds combine, then life manifests. No. Basically, life is already there in the father's seed. It is there, and that is what we call Panchagni Vidya, which I will talk to you a little later. And so this chemical constitution, well, has to come from live parents only, that chemicals, well, definitely if you combine externally without parents, no. And therefore the parents has a contribution basically in the manifestation of the life. And so let's say this Retaha, etc., the sperm, etc., has got chemical constitution to manifest Chidabhasa later. And the same chemical constitution you do externally without parents, suppose, and then you are not able to manifest the life. So that's Maya. That's a wonder. So says here, Retaha Chetati. Chetati means it is alive. This Retaha, the sperm, is alive. It's a living principle. It's a live principle. It's not an inert bundle of some chemicals, etc. It's a living principle which has come from the parents. And that is why in our religion, basically, in no religion perhaps, abortion has a sanction. Abortion is not, even though the fetus may be of 2 months or maybe something, well, still, generally they say the life is already there, and therefore it is, nobody permits basically. And according to Panchagni Vidya, well, which is discussed in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and the Chandogya Upanishad very elaborately, even in Brahma Sutra also it has been discussed very well in a particular Adhikaranam. I think it is in the 3rd chapter, first Adhikaranam, I don't remember. Anyway, but so there is a Adhikaranam name I remember, and that is Tadantara Pratipatti Adhikaranam. You can find in Brahma Sutra, Tadantara Pratipatti Adhikaranam, in that this is elaborately discussed. And what is the difference between the Panchagni Vidya of Brihadaranyaka and Chandogya also is discussed. And very well, Bhashyakara has written a big commentary there, even in the Brahma Sutra. Anyway, and well, in that it has been discussed, that Jiva, I will talk to you about this Panchagni Vidya little shortly. There it is said, this Jiva, departs from this body, the subtle body, and of course Chidabhasa. It departs from this body and goes to the first Agni, Panchagni, 5 Agnis. So, all these places where the Jiva goes is visualized as Agni. So, as though Jiva goes from this place. When he departs from this place, he leaves, immediately he is covered by a next, the material. He is covered by the material, Panchabhutas, for the next body. So, basically, he is covered. When Jiva comes out, a subtle body comes out, then gross elements, please understand, but gross in a subtle form. Like virus has a gross body, right? But you are not able to see. So it's a subtle form, not subtle elements. Please understand. Gross elements, because gross body is going to be formed. Jiva means subtle body is there. So subtle body is again not covered with the subtle elements, gross elements, but in a so minute which you will not be able to see at all. So it is. So who gives them? Basically, that Agni Devata gives. They say like that. This Agni Devata, when you put that body into that fire, etc., and the pyre, or we can say, that Agni Devata gives to that Jiva another set of elements, gross elements, which material for the next body. And then this Jiva will definitely goes to the first Agni called Swarga. It is assumed because of his karma that this Jiva goes to Swarga. Swarga is the first Agni. And there he definitely gets a body, because the elements are there, and so he gets a certain gross body, whatever the gross body as per the description of a Swargaloka, and then he will enjoy a certain as per his karma, etc. And then again he leaves that body and enters into a second Agni, second fire, called basically that Megha. Megha means a rain-bearing cloud. So he enters from Swarga into the second Agni. Swarga is the first Agni. Then but why you call Agni? Because as though this Jiva is offered into that. So as though this Jiva is offered there. And into that second Agni called Megha, rain-bearing cloud. Why rain-bearing cloud? Because it has to come down, right? Ultimately to get a human birth or whatever birth. And so it has to come down. And therefore he is in that rain-bearing cloud. And from there, ultimately through rain, he comes down and falls somewhere. Where it falls, we don't know. It falls somewhere and stick That jiva is stick now to the certain plants or anything. Let's say, assume it is sticks to the grass. Let's say grass, and then so it has come down to the actually to the earth. So basically the jiva is offered from this rain bearing cloud, which is the second Agni. He is offered into the third Agni called earth. I'm sorry. And from earth, now he comes out in the form of a plant. He comes out along with the plant. And then that plant is eaten by either, suppose it's a vegetable, eaten by a human being. And then it enters into the human body. The fourth, that is a Purusha. Purusha becomes Agni, in which the jiva is offered there. And the fifth Agni is a woman. So from there, that father, along with that semen, sperm, he is offered into the woman, and from there he comes out. This is called Panchagni, and to get a human birth is next to impossible. How you can think over? I have not to say anything. To get a human birth is impossible, because where that jiva falls, he may be falling on some hillock, and he gets stuck there along with the water, or he enters into that crack of that mountain, gone. Or he falls onto the plain, and he comes out with along with the grass it comes out, and the grass is eaten by a buffalo or anybody, or maybe a deer, whatever. So then he has to enter into the male human being. Understand this. Anyway, this is exhausting for me. Anyway, so I'm living that. But our Shastra says life is right there in the seed of a male. So it's not that life is created. But that basically, even in that sperm, a dot of a sperm, even though life is there, but the jiva is there, but basically it is not able to manifest there. Well, after a certain time, when this retaha along with that seed of the woman, then it gets a certain shape, and then life manifests. So life is not created at the age of, the third month or fourth month or etc. Maybe medical science may be saying like that because they don't accept all this. So, but basically this is what Shastra says. And therefore, abortion or a Bhruna is considered as a Mahapapam. So, Retaha Chetati, first it is a living being. And then what happens to that Retaha, what happens to that sperm? Hasta Mastaka Pada Prodbhutaha. So gradually it develops into hand and then head and feet and everything. That Retaha only, along with that seed, only develops into all these limbs. And in fact, there is an Upanishad called Garbhopanishad. You may have heard the name perhaps. So, which talks about the detail also, how this all limbs come out from this, basically from the conception. So all of them gradually, Prodbhutam is they gradually emerge out. They gradually emerge. They are all, basically born, they all emerge, and which does not happen in the case of table. So basically this is how it is. So even though that semen or even the egg of a woman, etc., all is a chemical ultimately. And table also is another chemical. But then somehow, that grows into a full-fledged body, and also life emerges into that. For I think scientists are not able to understand. If scientists understand means what? They will create living beings outside in a test tube, right? And you will laugh at my understanding. I told you yesterday that in test tube means basically I feel that chemicals are combined, and then that wah will start. No, nothing of that sort. So somehow parents' contribution is required, and not somehow, Shastra says parents are required, because life manifests. He is a fourth Agni, and the woman is a fifth Agni. So basically the jiva is offered. The male offers through sanyoga, etc. He offers that jiva into the woman, etc., along with the sperm. And so this is how this has been narrated like this. And therefore life is there. Only it manifests after certain time, etc. And so basically, Retaha basically manifests into, it multiplies, right? All the cells, and there is inhibition I talked about. And so all the limbs basically come out of that. Whereas the table does not have this duplicating capacity. So that's the greatest mystery. Some chemicals have the capacity to reproduce, some chemicals do not have a capacity to reproduce. Well, how this happens? Magic. Okay? And so it's a mystery. This is what this mischievous and mysterious Maya does. That's what it is. So, okay, if you say, where is Maya and all that, whether such a thing Maya is there or it's your excuse or it's your shelter, you want to run away from our questions. So, you have a shelter and that shelter is a earthquake shelter. So, you run, you are behind that and basically and telling that that shelter is nothing but your Maya. Don't say that. This is magic. You can see everywhere. In fact, this is our experience of a that child is produced, etc., from that seed, etc. All this is. So table is also chemical, body is also chemical, cells are, but the cells are capable of multiplying. Well, and in the table it is not capable of multiplying. So how this difference comes well about is the biggest mystery for the scientist. Anyway, so and then they are compared with that sprouts of a seed, etc. From the sprout, basically from the bija, from the seed, all the sprouts come out and then develops into branches and leaves and all that. Same way this reta also is a seed, and from that ultimately all the limbs of the body come out. So it has been compared. We will see that tomorrow. And our one gentleman has sent that Adhikaran, Tadantara Pratipatti Adhikaran is a third chapter only, and the first Pada, first Adhikaran, 311, in which the beautiful description of a comparison of a Panchagni Vidya, of a Brihadaranyaka and a Chandogya, and very nice Bhashyam also is there. If you are interested, you can look into. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.